Hey guys, my name is Robbie Phillips and welcome to The Process. In the first part of It's All in the Mind, we looked at the fear of falling. Now we're going to look at the other big F word in climbing, the fear of failing. Failure is a big part of life in general, not just in climbing. I'm sure you've heard it all before, but failure is how we learn from our mistakes. Learning how to deal with failure, as well as the prospect of failure, is ironically the greatest lesson on the path to success. My first encounter with the fear of failing came from my early career in climbing competitions.
I always struggled to overcome the fear that I wouldn't achieve the result I wanted. In truth, I put far too much pressure on myself back then. But who doesn't when you're 16 and want to be the best climber in the world? The main things I worried about were not making finals, being beaten by other climbers, and looking bad in front of my peers.
These thoughts are common in competitive sport, but you'll be surprised to learn they're just as common at the crag.
The initial fear of not making finals is an example of putting pressure on yourself to achieve. Another example of this would be to put the pressure on yourself to climb a route on a particular attempt. Example, I have to do this on my second go.
Ironically, putting this pressure on is damaging to your performance and makes it less likely that you will achieve what you set out to do. Secondly, worrying about what others are doing. Amazingly, this is actually a very common issue in climbing. Everybody has good days and bad. You can't look at how somebody else has performed on a climb and use that as a marker for how well you feel you should achieve. That is once again putting undue pressure on yourself. And lastly, worrying what others might think of you. Again, very common and linked to the last one. I'm reminded of a saying, people that mind don't matter. People that matter don't mind. In my experience, 9 out of 10 times, nobody's taking notes. So don't let it worry you. The simplest solution to all of this is to simply climb for yourself. Now I know that sounds really Sharma hippie style, but actually it's an incredible tool to switch off all outside influences and just give everything to a climb. Another really strange tactic which I use, which may or may not work for you, it might just work for me because I'm a bit weird, but I like to think of how totally ridiculous climbing actually is.
I'm climbing a rock to get to a point on the wall that's often, in the case of sport climbing, a randomly arbitrary point where some dude I don't know has decided to leave a metal chain.
This highlights to me the ridiculous nature of climbing and therefore the pointlessness of any undue pressure I put on myself to succeed. Focus techniques are something I've used over the years to varying degrees to channel thoughts and alter mindsets for different situations. They can be extremely helpful to keep your mind off the prospect of failure and focused on giving a great performance. One example is the mantra. I use the same one for falling. I focus on the phrase, one more move, one more move. That way, I keep my mind off the prospect of falling and on the climbing. Another focus technique I use is the routine. This is simply a set of things you do to prepare you for a climb. Over time, the routine will become a mental marker for when you need to try really hard on a climb. Visualization is something I've used to promote a positive mental attitude before climbing.
Often during the route reading process, I will visualize climbing strong and solid through the sequences. I try not to visualize success as that lays the pressure to succeed. I only focus on the feeling of climbing well and giving my all.
One last technique I use is music. Paired with visualization, this can be a great tool to focus your mind on the performance.
Find music that gives off the right feeling. Sometimes I like to listen to calming music before getting on a long endurance route to relax me, or to some more aggressive music to get me psyched to pull hard on a boulder.
The ultimate mindset then is to have limited pressure, but to still want to give your all to a climb. Many climbers feel that they climb better when they don't feel they stand a chance. They're happier, more relaxed, and give a much more aggressive performance because they feel they have nothing to lose. I've utilised these techniques my entire life to get the most out of my climbing. Hopefully, you can take a bit of what I've spoken about today and use it in your own climbing. I hope you've enjoyed watching this episode of The Process Season 2. For more detailed information on the topics discussed in this episode, then follow the link in the description.